All right, welcome to another edition of the Current Era Podcast. I'm your host, Julian, and today I have part two of my conversation that I had with my brother Javar about video games. So, in this episode, we're going to dive into more of the current generation consoles, which includes the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. We have great conversation about all three of those consoles. We also discuss what actually makes video games great. I mean, is it just story? Is it just gameplay? What do you guys think? Please leave us a review. Let us know what you think. What makes a great video game? You can always find me on Instagram at Jules. That's Joules. Please, you can follow me there. Comment on my podcast. Leave a review. Let me know how we're doing. And let's go ahead and jump right into it, man. This is a great episode, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, man. So let's get back into it. I think it's a good time now to talk about the Nintendo Wii. So this console was the successor to the Nintendo GameCube, which we didn't really get into. So do you want to talk about the GameCube at all? Because I mean, I thought that it was a great system. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's not like, to me, it's not extremely prevalent. But did you want to discuss the GameCube at all?
Yeah, so the GameCube was the successor to the 64,
Yes.
and Nintendo just kept this going along this way of going away from what the market is going. So it's like Sony and Xbox, everything was CDs and DVDs and Blu-rays and online and all these things that they're driving the market. Nintendo was starting to move towards being like more niche. And even in 64, when they started to lose market share, because there was a time, I don't know if people remember, man, Nintendo used to run console. They used to run video games like Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo, and even 64. It went from having like 80% of the market to like 60%. And
Wow.
eventually, PlayStation took even more. So where the end of the 64, I think, reign, it only had like maybe 40% or 30%. But the GameCube just was not that popular at all, and like they tried to move towards more like kiddie and toy
Yeah.
like image. Like it had like a handle, and it was like this literally a cube, and they had the little micro discs. They did that to prevent like piracy, and it just wasn't that popular. The GameCube actually had better graphics than the PlayStation 2.
Oh, wow.
But it just didn't have the multi-platform support. Like the only games that came out were Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Because other developers like it is just too much to deal with these little discs. I'm not trying to deal with that. So the GameCube didn't sell as well, even though it had a lot of classics, a lot of their first-party games. It had like one of the worst Mario games, Super Mario Sunshine. I liked
You didn't
it,
like
but
that? I was about to say, like, I
care for
thought.
it.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say, I remember you playing that a lot.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't care for it though.
Wow.
Smash Bros. Melee, which is a lot of people think is the best Smash.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it had like Resident Evil 4, that was real popular. And then I'm kind of drawing a blank. Oh, they had Wind Waker, Zelda Wind Waker.
I was about to say, yeah, the Wind Waker.
Metroid Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
like that's kind of what I mean though. Like it was, I don't want to say it was forgettable because that would be disrespectful, but
it kind of was.
yeah, I mean,
There was only like 10 games that were really worth a darn on GameCube.
yeah, and most of those were multi-platform because I mean, I remember NBA
Single
Street.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah, NBA Street Volume 1 and 2, like those were on PS2, but they were on the GameCube. I remember Sonic Adventure Battle 2 we had on GameCube, but it was also on Dreamcast, I believe. I mean, it was just,
Soul Caliburs.
Yeah, Soul Caliburs, yeah. But yeah, anyway, the successor to the GameCube was the Nintendo Wii. So to me, the Nintendo Wii, it was a really big gamble, and they targeted.
I guess I should. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
go ahead.
let me profess by saying that Nintendo was in trouble. The GameCube was so bad that like they had to get desperate. So that's why the Wii, they was like, okay, we're going to go completely left field and do something completely different. We can't compete with Microsoft and Sony with like graphics and hardware. and that type of gaming. So we're just gonna be completely different. So continue, sorry.
They were, yeah, because this was the first motion controlled home console system. It come with the obviously the hardware for the Nintendo Wii, but it comes with a sensor and a handheld Wii remote that you use to play the games. I'll be the first to admit when this came out, I was like, what is this garbage? Like, I don't want this. I hated it. Like, I'll be real. Like, I hated the Nintendo Wii when it first came out because I was so used to having a nice, comfortable controller, playing my video games. I didn't want a freaking motion control game system. I thought it was so stupid. And then I played it. And I realized that it was a lot of fun. It had a lot of great games on it. But what are your thoughts on the Nintendo Wii, like, before it came out? Like, when you heard that it was going to be a motion control system, what were your initial thoughts on it?
Well, I was interested. I trust Nintendo, so I was like, well, let's see what they do. I'm sure there'll be some cool games and some cool ideas. I wasn't happy about that they didn't care about like HD graphics and online play and stuff like that at all.
Right.
Because it seemed like they weren't listening to the consumers. They were just telling us what we want. But I mean, it turned out to be very popular because they appeal more so to casuals and like kids and like just like parents and just stuff you could do with your grandpa and stuff.
Yep.
Like all those like the Wii Sports games and
oh yeah,
like you said, all the motion control games. That also was a time which we didn't mention with the 360 and PlayStation 3. Stuff like Rock Band and Guitar Hero, all that type of stuff was real popular at the time. All those party games like that. Mm-hmm. So the Wii capitalized on those games, those type of things. So it was like a different type of consumer, a different type of people they were looking for, and it really worked for them. I want to say that was and is the highest sold console of all time, the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is that I remember they were so hard to find. Like things were like, it was just like a rare resource. Like they were sold out in every store. Like I wanted one for Zelda, but it Zelda and Smash and I want to say Mario Galaxy and stuff. But it just took me like a year to get one because it was just so hard to find.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and to me, it didn't really have as much staying power because it was just so simple. It wasn't as deep. There turned out to be a lot of great games for it that I played after the fact.
Right.
But for the most part, I kind of ignored the Wii because it didn't have like those HD like epic games that I was looking for.
Yeah, man. And it's interesting you bring that up because I didn't even realize that it wasn't HD until you told me, because I guess I just didn't pay attention to it. And I don't think I played any games in HD because back then the 360 was it came with that little port where you can plug in your AV cables. So I always played that in standard definition. And
wow.
Yeah, and then my Wii, it also came with the AV cable, so I played that in standard definition. So I didn't realize that it wasn't HD until like years later. But even then, I didn't really play it heavy. Like it wasn't like the system that I play. Like I play Wii Sports more than any classic game on the Nintendo Wii, and that's sad because there were some great games for it. Like you mentioned it, like Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Like those games are revered for being fantastic, like masterpieces of video games, and I just didn't get to play them. Same thing with Legend of Zelda, and you remember when they released Mario Kart Wii and they had a little steering wheel for it, so you can actually steer. Yep, that's so freaking genius. Like Nintendo, they understand their audience, because I remember like everybody wanted that. Like everybody wanted that little remote control steering wheel thing for Mario Kart Wii. And yeah, man, it had so many fun games. So like, what are some of the best games that you remember playing on the Nintendo Wii?
Like I said, this is one that I kind of played after the fact. So yeah, right. Mario Galaxy, Zelda Skyward Sword,
Metroids.
Yeah, they did have the Metroid Primes on there. Well, one of them, right?
I think 3.
Okay. They did have a Smash Bros, and this is the one that a lot of people didn't like because they had like you could slip and trip and fall. So people hated that.
Yeah.
So
Super
that
Smash
one's
Bros.
not even
Brawl.
Yeah, Brawl. So that's not even like played competitively because of that. I'm trying to think. They had the Donkey Kong World, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. And they remade the Super Mario series on it too, I believe.
Oh, and that's another thing. So we had the Nintendo Classic, whatever it was, where you can play all those old games.
Mm-hmm.
Which we were able to do anyway because we knew how to use like ROMs and emulators.
Yep.
But which are amazing, by the way. Audience, Google how to use ROMs and emulators if you want to go play old games, or you can just pay for it.
Yeah. Losers.
Yeah, we're pirates out here.
Wow.
So that was cool. I'm drawing a blank, man. Honestly, the Wii was a little forgettable for me.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you play the Wii U more?
No, the Wii U was even more forgettable.
Yeah, same. I only bought a Wii U because it was HD, and I wanted to play the Wind Waker remake they made. So I actually bought a Wii U, and then it got stolen, and I just never bought another one. So
it got stolen? I thought she let me borrow it, and I just never gave it back. Or was that Courtney's?
I must say that must have been Courtney's because mine got stolen. Okay. But so, go ahead.
So I just want to say, so like, we're reaching the point where Nintendo has like just slowly been breaking my heart over the years. Because I used to be a huge Nintendo fan, like I've been alluding to with the NES, Super Nintendo 64, and then the GameCube was like fun, but it was like not great, and the Wii was like, to me, just really not what I wanted. And the Wii U was okay, but the Wii U just didn't have a lot of support. I don't think it sold well, so they didn't put a lot of games out for it. The Wii U was really a short shelf life. It felt like it was only like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I've always loved their handheld, so they've held it down with that, with the Game Boys. I've had all of them, all the way up to Advance, Game Boy Advance, and then Nintendo DS, 3DS. Have all of them.
Yeah.
But the Wii U, the Wii U, and then I even have the Switch, but I'm just like not that happy with it. It's just like over the years they just embrace like the kiddie market, they haven't done much for the people that grown up with Nintendo. They haven't done much to like try to keep those customers. They just kind of almost like keep that same age range between 8 to 16 or whatever. So it's like, man, it's like, you're not thinking about me. I'm just leaving you behind. I wish Nintendo like would like, why not have like a more mature Banjo-Kazooie or something. I don't know, just something. I don't know, like just like grow up with us a little bit.
Yeah,
do that with Smash Bros a little bit, but
yeah, I think I'm almost in the same mindset with you as far as Nintendo goes. To me, they're like extremely stubborn. Like even to this day, like they don't really have like a good online like an online playing system at all. Like
that's ridiculous in 2019.
Yeah. I mean, it's there, don't get me wrong, but it's there's so many holes in it. And
they just released online for Switch like last year, right?
Yeah. Yes. And yeah, so like going along with what you were saying about the Wii and the Wii U, those two systems for me, even though they sold really well, they were pretty forgettable. But the one thing I do disagree with you on is the Nintendo Switch. So like, I love my Nintendo Switch. I think that Nintendo is back. I've played nothing but fantastic games on my Nintendo Switch. And I love the fact that it's a handheld, but I can dock it and play it on my TV with the controller as well. Like that's freaking blew my mind. I really, really love my Nintendo Switch. Like, I think it's a fantastic console. It's probably my favorite console that's out right now compared to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One.
It's a great console. It's just no games. There's only like, I mean, give me 5 games worth of darn on the Switch.
I mean, the 5 games I have is Super Mario Party, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I have Super Mario Odyssey. I have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I have one more game that I cannot think of right now.
No, you don't. That's 4. Nope.
I need to go get my Switch so I can figure out what games I have on it. But yeah, I mean, and I'm also banking on the fact that that they're going to release more great games for it. They're going to release a new Metroid. They're going to release a new Pokemon, which they just announced the other day. They're going to release Pokemon Sword and Shield later this year. They're going to release a new Fire Emblem. There's always good games for Nintendo Switch. So hopefully they can continue.
We want Banjo and Kazooie. The people of like, darn it, what are we waiting for? Come on. I know they kind of sold it off to Microsoft, but Microsoft ain't doing nothing with it. Buy it back. And they need to put them on the Smash Bros too. Banjo and Kazooie.
Yeah. We want Banjo Kazooie. So out of the new generation consoles that I just mentioned briefly, so the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One, which one of those is first I want your general opinion on all three. So let's start with the PlayStation 4, because I know you have one. So what do you think about the PS4 like as a system?
So it's funny, like Xbox and PlayStation keep on like going back and forth. Mm-hmm. So this generation, PlayStation 4 came out first and was cheaper, and so they kind of had like more of the market share. Whereas Xbox, they were trying to like come out with the Kinect and do all this stuff that nobody wanted, and it was like more expensive. And at first, they didn't sell as well, so they dropped the Kinect and slashed the price. But even then, so both of those systems have 4K and have Blu-ray players and all that. Mm-hmm. Similar functionality, really similar as far as like hardware. They get this similar type of games. It's almost like they're the same systems to me, except PlayStation does tend to have better
exclusives.
Exclusives and first-party games, like its Uncharted series, Last of Us, Sunset Overdrive,
God of War, Spider-Man,
yeah. So on and so forth. There's a few more coming out this year. Whereas Xbox, they pretty much only have Halo and Gears, and I think they get first rights to Tomb Raider. And that's about it, really, that I could think of. Forza, the racing game. They had Killer Instinct starting this generation. But so to me, it's like, it's just pick one out of the two. And it seems it just depends what you want. It depends which of those exclusive series appeals to you more. If I had to pick, it'd probably be PlayStation this gen. Mm-hmm. I kind of messed up because I bought a PlayStation 4 first, and before they came out with the Pro with 4K. Yeah. And then I bought the Xbox One X that has 4K. And it's like, man, I'd rather just have the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Right.
I prefer the games on there. But, the Xbox is cool. It hasn't really been much exclusives yet, but as a console, it still offers the same type of good features that the 360 had. Good online and good, like, interface. And all of that stuff. I feel like PlayStation 4's interface isn't as good, but it's just as functional. Mm-hmm. And their online is similar, just as functional. Might not be as good, but all in all, pound for pound, I think PlayStation 4 is probably the better console right now.
Right.
And it's selling better. And Xbox is there. It's just an option. I have all three. The Switch is kind of like a niche thing, but I guess Switch is taking it's kind of like a hybrid of handheld and console.
Yep.
So to me, if I had to rank them, I would go PlayStation 4, then Xbox X, then Switch. But Xbox One X and Switch are kind of interchangeable to me.
Okay, so I have
I was about
to say, like, I have a completely different take. So, well, not completely different. So the PlayStation 4 is the best console right now. I mean, I have a PS4 Pro, so I get the 4K HDR graphics. The first party games are just amazing. God of War 4 that came out in April to 2018. That game is just so amazing. It's just so fantastic, so beautiful, great story. Kratos is just an iconic character. I absolutely loved that game. Spider-Man PS4 that they came out with from Insomniac. That game was so freaking good, so fun. It was a great emotional story. The gameplay was so fun. They had a lot of DLC that I actually paid for, and I do not pay for DLC because I think it's a trap. But I wanted more of that game, so I had to pay for it. PlayStation 4 is just it is ruling this generation. That's just my honest opinion. And Xbox One, bro, like I don't like it. Like I think this is a fail for Xbox and Microsoft. Like there's been no good games for this thing. I was one of the guys that paid $500 and got the Xbox One with the Kinect. For the first 5 minutes, it was cool. Xbox on and Xbox off and Xbox pause, and it was great. And then it was the most annoying thing ever because it wasn't hearing you, or it would it would be a commercial that would say on or something, and then your Xbox would turn on. Like it was the most annoying thing ever. So like years ago, I just disconnected the Kinect, and I don't even know where it is now. And my Xbox has been collecting dust for days. Like they don't make games for people like me anymore. Like they're going away from single player telling a story games to just freaking Fortnite and playing online. And like, I don't care about Battle Royale. I don't care about that crap. I don't care. Xbox needs to get back to its fan base, and they need to care about what made the Xbox 360 so popular. And it wasn't just multiplayer games. Halo 3, Call of Duty, those games had a great deal to do with it. But there were great games that told good stories on that console that helped make it a great console. And I think they need to start caring about that again. And as far as the Nintendo Switch, like I said earlier, I love my Nintendo Switch. I think Nintendo knocked it out of the park with this one. The handheld aspect versus the docking aspect, it's great. It's great for travel. Like, we went to Hawaii in December and I brought it with me. Like it was nothing. And like I set it up and we were playing 4-player Mario Party. Like it was great. Like it's a great fun console. So if I had to rank it, I would say PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and then the Xbox doesn't even deserve a place on this list because I honestly like I really hate this Xbox. Like, and there's been reports recently that have surfaced that at E3 this year they're going to announce the next generation console with Halo 6 Infinite as the launch title. So they better bring it because this ain't it. Like if somebody offered me $100 for this thing, I'd say take it. Like I'm so disappointed in it, bro. Like I am. Like I just, man, it's I don't like it.
I didn't expect a hot take today.
I didn't either. It kind of just came out of nowhere, but it's made me mad because I'm sitting here looking at it right now as I'm recording in my office. I'm just like, bro, like I don't like you. Like, like I don't play this. Like I do not play this Xbox. Like it is. I mean, of course it's not dusty because I'm not. I don't keep myself dusty. But holy crap, it might as well just be collecting dust.
Well, I guess I should mention I don't like mine because it freaking crashes every time I try to play it.
Really?
Like the Xbox One X is so buggy. I don't know what's the deal. It's got some kind of power issues. Like if I have it on standby for more than like 2 days, it will basically just give the equivalent of a red rings of death. But it can be fixed if you just unplug everything, like unplug all the power and then wait like a minute and then plug it back. Wow. So when I know I haven't played it in a while, I just go and do that. Like I just go unplug it because I just know it's going to fail on me anyway. And it might even do that while I'm playing. It's happened a few times. It will just crash while I'm playing.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So yeah, Microsoft, get your stuff together, please, because this is embarrassing. And
honestly, I would never buy another Microsoft console on launch.
On launch,
I got to wait a couple waves first so they can get the bugs out.
Yeah. I think the PlayStation 4 when it launched, I want to say it had bugs too. But I mean, I think that's standard for any launch. Like, but Microsoft in particular has just been terrible with their launches. I mean, even for the 360, um, we talked about it earlier with the Red Rings of Death, but and then the Xbox One had a lot of problems too. So
And
yeah,
look,
you might be
credit to
right.
Nintendo because they're the only ones you should, for sure can be sure that their stuff is going to work.
Yeah.
Like they rarely have buggy products.
Yeah. No, I agree. Okay, so let's move on a little bit, man. So let's talk about some consoles that we didn't really spend a lot of time on. So we talked about the Nintendo, we talked about the Super Nintendo, we talked about the GameCube and the PlayStation 1. But what about some of Nintendo's handhelds? So I remember us having the Game Boy, like the original Game Boy, the black and white, where you had to
The Fat
freaking
Boy.
yeah, like it was like a brick, boy. You couldn't put it in your pocket. I mean, you could try, but yeah. So like I mean, and the only game I remember playing on there is Red and Blue, Pokemon Red and Blue.
Hmm.
But do you remember who got? Well, I guess it was Mom. Did she get us the Game Boy?
Yeah, mom got us the Game Boys. Um, yeah, and they were fairly priced.
I was about to say I
And
remember them being like kind of cheap.
yeah, and the games are only like $30, so they were easy for us to get a lot of games. I remember
Hmm.
we had like the Super Mario Land.
Oh
Those are the first
yeah.
games with like Wario.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, I remember of course Pokemons. We had oh man, like all the Pokemons,
Every single one.
every single one, and that was a lot.
Yeah.
Um, even had like the Game Sharks
Oh
for one of
wow.
one of those generations for the Pokemons. Yeah,
Yeah. It
because
was gold and silver because that was the only way you can get Celebi back then.
yep, yep. Let me see. We also had. Remember, there was some great Dragon Ball Z games.
Yeah, I want to say Dragon. I don't know if it's Dragon Ball Evolution. I think that's the movie, but
Legacy,
yeah,
Legacy of Goku, something
Legacy,
like that.
Legacy
Yeah,
of Goku. Yes, yeah, those are really fun. Those are on Game Boy Advance, though, I believe.
yeah, yeah. We're kind of going up, moving the timeline, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah. But I remember in general, yeah, a lot of Pokemon, a lot of Super Mario Land. I want to say we had like a Lion King game on there as well.
mhm.
Um, and just a lot of those type of kiddie games.
I
Nothing too
remember.
crazy.
Yeah, I remember on the Game Boy Advance. I think it was on the Game Boy Advances when they started doing the Mario and Luigi RPG games. Those are
Yes,
always
Mario and
really
Luigi,
fun.
Superstar Saga.
Superstar Saga, yeah, those are always really, really fun. I always really enjoyed those. Do you remember with the Game Boy? Obviously, the Game Boy didn't have like a backlight, so if it was dark or if you were in a dark room, like you couldn't see it. So like you had to buy that little light thing that you attached on it to
Oh yeah.
like that was looking back, like that's just so funny, right? Because I mean, obviously now everything is has the backlight and is interactive, but
I didn't
back
even
in the
think of that.
Stone
That is
Ages.
funny.
Yeah, like back in the Stone Ages, like if you wanted to sit in the dark and play your Game Boy, like you had to get that little attachment to play. And I think that was true until let me see, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. I think Game Boy SP was the first one to have like that light to where you can actually play it in the dark. I think.
What was it? The SP?
Yeah, that's the little cube looking one where you can flip it open.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. And that
Yeah,
was the before they
at least a
that was
DS.
yeah, before they went to DS. Yeah,
Hmm.
so you could just see the evolution over the years.
Seriously. Yeah, and then they came out with the DS. The DS was man, it was huge. I feel like for like two Christmases in a row, everybody wanted a Nintendo DS. Like
Yeah, it was a big
that
deal.
thing, yeah, that thing was a big deal. The Nintendo DS, like, oh my goodness. And it wasn't even primarily for the games. It was because you remember that little chat feature that they had where like you can connect with people near you to chat. Like that was like a big deal to a lot of people. And it had the split screens and it had the little utensil where you can draw on the bottom screen. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
DS is just
At
man,
the Stylon or whatever it was
the
called.
stylus
Stylus, yeah.
that you had to buy a 5 pack because you knew you was gonna lose one.
I know, right? I
That
still
junk
have my
was
DS.
yeah. No, I don't have my DS. I have a 3DS now.
Still have that too. Yeah.
But yeah, man, God, and then of course all the games that come with it. DS is just so fun, and then they made the 3DS, and I don't know if Nintendo is going to continue to make like handhelds anymore because of the Switch.
Yeah.
Um, I know for a fact that they're not going to make any more handheld Pokemon games. All of them are going to be now for the Switch, but that's just interesting to think because they have completely owned the market on handheld. I mean, and it's not like it's been a huge market. I mean, only the PSP uh, was like
I
even
think that's kind of why they're doing it. They're kind of just leaning into it. It's like, okay, so our console market is just dwindling, dwindling, dwindling. How about we
Mhm.
just combine
Yeah,
markets?
combined. Yeah, yeah. And speaking on the PSP, I don't want to just talk about it in passing. Um, I thought that the PSP was a really cool system. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I feel like it was really popular at a time. But I think it was only popular for like a year or maybe two.
They were
Um,
cool. They were cool because the graphics were so nice and
yes.
colorful and whatnot, especially at the time. That was almost like having a Switch.
Hmm.
Like it was graphics were almost PlayStation. Were they about PlayStation levels? Yeah, almost PlayStation 2 levels,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
No, it
never I
was.
never had one, so I just know from like other people. You had one, right?
Yeah, I had one. It was great.
So I don't have a lot of experience with it. I had a handheld, like you might not remember back in the day, the Game Gear, the Sega Game Gear.
No, I've never heard of
Yeah, that was a freaking huge brick. Um, the battery life was terrible. It'd take like six AA batteries, and it would only last like 2 hours.
that. God. Wow.
So
That's.
yeah, but they had like some good Sonics on there, and a few other ports from like Genesis ports, but
Mhm.
they didn't have a lot of games, so it died out pretty quick. The Game Boy just completely took over, even though the Game Gear was better, like had better graphics. It
Oh.
actually had colors and 3D. I mean, they didn't have 3D, but it had like colors.
Oh
It was
wow.
like 16-bit, but the Game Boy is only like 8-bit.
Yeah.
The Game Boy barely had any colors. That actually didn't have any colors. It was
Yeah, but
just
I said
like
it didn't
black and
have
white.
any.
Yeah,
And speaking of color, do you remember how big a deal it was for the Game Boy Color itself to come out?
I
Like,
do.
I remember how like that was just such a big deal. Like, it's a Game Boy, but it's in color. Like, it was such a huge deal. And again, I think that's a thing that I think everybody had. Um, man.
But all to say, like the Game Gear already did that. But only problem is that it just wasn't feasible. Like it just the consumption of energy was just too much. Like I said, six AA battery. I'm not lying. It took like either 6 to 8 AA batteries, and it only lasted like 2 or 3 hours. Like it just was crazy.
Wow.
Whereas the OG Game Boy, it took like 4 AA's, but it would last like a good, I don't know, 30 some hours. It felt.
Hmm. Man. Good times. Okay. So now I kind of just want to get into some general video game talk. So, um, if I had to put you on the spot and ask you, what is the best game that you've ever played?
The best game I've ever played, I would have to say, hmm, I would have to say maybe just for me, Skyrim. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Even though it's kind of it might not hold up as well today,
Hmm.
but at the time I felt like that was like the pinnacle.
And what about that game in particular made it so great to you?
It just felt like a whole immersive world. Like it just completely captivated me. Um,
Mhm.
the gameplay, the story, just how many things you could do, the quests, the characters, the vibe, the feel. It just yeah, like I said, it just completely captivated me. I'd be at work all day thinking about going back home playing Skyrim.
Dang.
I'd be googling things about Skyrim or just think about Skyrim. Like it just completely took over my life.
Wow.
And it was such
Okay.
a huge game, a long game that it took a while for for me to really get like even when I finished it, I was just still milking it and just playing, just doing stuff.
Hmm.
Or I would start over with a whole different character type. Like my first one was like a sword and shield type. So the next time I would do just strictly like a wizard,
Hmm.
and then another time I do like a shadow character, like a bow and arrow and sneaking character. Like
Wow.
I replayed that game like 4 or 5 times.
Jeez. And was that on the 360?
It was on the 360 and it was ported also to the PlayStation 4 and
Oh, okay.
Xbox One.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I would say either that or like San Andreas or
Mm.
Mass Effect 2 for me.
Mm,
One of the BioShocks. Like it's hard. And most of these came out in 360 days.
yeah.
So that's why I
Wow.
say to me 360 is the best console of all time for me because it had like some bangers that like really impacted me.
No, I feel you. Okay. So for me, the best game I've ever played, and I know everybody's gonna think it's Halo 3. That is not the best game I've ever played. That is the
Let
most
me
fun.
guess. Let me guess.
Okay, go ahead.
Breath of the Wild.
Bro, oh my goodness. You just know me so well. Bruh. The Legend of
Yeah,
Zelda
that's
Breath of
up
the
there.
Wild. Oh my
I feel
goodness.
bad that I didn't mention that one, but yeah, for sure.
So yeah. So anyway, so like all right, so the most fun I've ever had like is Halo 3. But the best game, complete game I've ever played was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I want to take a minute to talk about this game because I have never played any Legend of Zelda aside from Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker, and I didn't get far or beat those because they just didn't grab my attention. Um, but Breath of the Wild, and I played it for the Nintendo Switch. I didn't play it on Wii U. I played Nintendo Switch. So this game, man, I think it was you that recommended the game to me. To be completely honest, I
Yeah, it
like
was me. But I didn't even think you would like it like that because you don't play those type of games. So.
yeah, right. I don't. And you know, I bought my Switch. I bought the Super Mario Odyssey bundle, so that came with the game. I played that and I loved it. It was fantastic. And then you know, I was looking for my next game to play. So I was at the store. I was like, man, I don't know what to get. Like, I don't know. So I saw Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I was like, I'm gonna get this. I'm not gonna play it. Like, you know, but I was balling that day, so I was like, whatever. Like, come on, let's get it. So I got the game and put it in, and you know, uh, 10 hours later, like I'm still staring at the TV, playing the game, and man, like talk about a game taking over your life. Like I have put in time for this game. Like you can ask Avi. Like I like this was I think I had like lost my job at this time, so I was home and she was going to work and like she would leave to go to work and like I'd be up playing the game and when she get home from work like I'd still be playing the game and she'd be like were you playing the game all day? I'm just like yes, leave me alone. But but like this game is it's just so fun. Like it's so immersive. There's so many things to do, and not having played a Legend of Zelda game before, I think helped me because I didn't understand things that are like Legend of Zelda things to do. Like and like I had to go to you for a lot of things like you know, like talking to everybody because, you know, everybody can give you a side mission or you can get armor. You can get weapons, you can get, you know, items, you can get money just from talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
And in this game in particular, I mean, literally anywhere that you see, you can go. So like I had never been in a world like that where you could literally travel anywhere. And it's just so fun. Like the gameplay is fun. The shrines are fun. Like it's challenging. Like it's not easy. Like all right, this you know, all right, move this here and do that. Like so, some of those shrines really made me think. Like I don't know how to do this. Like I'm about to have to look it up. like like I couldn't figure some of them out. And it's just so fun, man. That game, I think it's up there with Halo 3 as far as like that the amount of hours I put into it.
Wow.
And that's saying something because I put in hours in Halo 3. But I have put in so much time in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I played multiple files. I remember you telling me that you got to start cooking because cooking was something that I'm pretty sure has never been introduced to any prior Legend of Zelda game.
No.
So when they did it in this one, I didn't get it. I was like, why am I making this like these dubious meals like because that's all I was doing. I wasn't making nothing good.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started realizing that you can make extra heart potions. You can make
Exactly.
potions to make you strong, give you good defense, make you warm, like make you cool. I was like, what am I doing? Like I had to start over from the beginning. Like
my second playthrough when I learned about cooking, that made it a whole bunch easier.
yes, but it's still challenging and fun. Like man, and
But you can do more.
Yeah, yes.
You can like explore more, now that you don't have to worry about, oh, I don't have this these clothes to climb
Yep.
the mountains because it's too cold, but I could just
Yep.
cook something to warm me up, or
And
vice versa, something like that.
so like that's another thing. I love the realism of that. So like if you're on Death Mountain and you're next to a freaking volcano, like you can't just walk there with some armor. Like you got to make sure you have the proper equipment, and vice versa. Like if you're in a desert, like you can't be wearing some chunky armor. Like you're gonna die from a heat stroke. Like I love that aspect of it, and the the main thing about Breath of the Wild that I thought that I was gonna hate going into it was that the weapons that they break. I thought that was so stupid. I was like, all right, man, I don't got time to be going through all
Yeah,
these
I didn't
weapons.
like that at first either.
And then it grew on me. Like I was like, this, it's not even that bad. And like I actually like having to search for weapons because you can always upgrade, you can find great stuff. Man, I have
Different ways to
literally,
fight.
yeah, like I have literally no negative thing to say about that game. That is hands down the best game I've ever played in my life, and I'm so glad that I got to enjoy it. But did you like the game at all?
Man, I loved that game. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And what's crazy about Breath of the Wild is that it's very different from a lot of Zeldas. They changed a lot of the gameplay
Mm,
mechanisms. Like
okay.
usually Zelda is not this open world. Like usually it's open world, but it's also like linear in a way. Like you need this type of item to really
Oh,
go anywhere on this side of the planet,
yeah.
or I mean this side of the map or whatever. So that's kind of how they held you back. And Breath of the Wild did that to an extent to some places, but it wasn't like that bad.
Hmm.
You could get around it if you knew ways to get around, or if you knew how to fight. You could beat this enemy if you really good at parrying
Right.
or whatever the case may be. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like just like you could start the game and just go straight to the castle and try to beat the game if you wanted. If you were about that life.
Yeah, if you're about that life, yeah. Yeah, man. Just such a great game. Such a fantastic game. I absolutely love it. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do for the next installment. Hopefully, it's uh, more of the same as far as the gameplay goes. Um, but yeah. Okay. So moving on. I kind of talked about it for me. Halo 3 was like the most fun I've ever had playing a video game, but and the reason for that, for both of the games I just mentioned, is because of the gameplay. So if it was up to you, what's more important in a video game? Like, is gameplay or story more important?
Hmm. Well, I don't want to play a game that has a great story, but you don't really do anything gameplay wise.
Hmm.
But I don't really want to play a game that has great gameplay that doesn't have much of a story. Because for me, that's shallow. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of multiplayer games like that, but that's not for me. So
Hmm.
for me, it's a mixture of both. I got to have both. I mean, I can't
Hmm.
have one or the other. But if I had to have one, I think I'd rather have more of like a story, to be
Really?
honest.
Okay. Wow.
But I don't know how that would, like, I'm trying to think of a game that has a great story that doesn't have much gameplay. Those would be like RPGs, right?
Probably, yeah.
So yeah,
Well, so
even though yeah, those have their own good gameplay in a way as well, their own different thing, like tactical way.
yeah. And the my main reason for asking this question is because I feel like Breath of the Wild, like its gameplay is fantastic, but I can't say the same about the story. Like the story, I mean, like the story is good, like it's fine, it's there, but I mean, I don't know. The story's not on par with the gameplay. Um,
You know, that's
so
actually funny. Nintendo games tend to be like that. The story really isn't.
it's almost irrelevant. Like,
Yeah, it's almost irrelevant. Like the story is the same for most of the games, really. Like the
yeah,
Mario, Bowser, something,
gonna take Peach.
you're gonna take Peach and do some kind of huge diabolical plan, whatever. Just you got to travel across the galaxy or whatever to fight Bowser or whoever it is. Zelda. At the end of the day, uh, Link is gonna find out he's a hero, and Zelda's gonna find out she's a princess, and
Hmm.
or something like that. And Ganondorf or somebody is gonna be involved. Triforce, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Like all Nintendo games always go along the same type of story, but the gameplay is what makes it
Hmm.
unique. And but at the same time, their gameplay is not just it's not just like the controls. It's also more so like the features and how the things you can do within the game,
Yes.
and how it builds up. And so in a sense, that's almost as a story because you're getting achievements along the way, and you're building up your skills or building up what you can do along the way. So it's a journey. It's so maybe we could rephrase as like Nintendo does well with its gameplay incorporating the journey. It might not be the actual story that matters, but the journey is what's important.
Okay.
So I need that. I need at least something, some kind of something to push it along to make it feel notable, and something I could do to that makes me want to keep playing. Something that pushes me from objective to objective.
Right.
The story doesn't have to win an Oscar or anything, but
sure.
If you have something
it needs to pull you in. Like it
exactly.
needs to make you care about what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so if you put it like that, I guess the gameplay is more important, but I just need some kind of objectives as well. I don't want to just like I think that's a subject later, but I don't like just like Destiny, where like even though it has objective, it's just there's really no story at all. Or like that new Fallout that just came out. That's another thing. It's like an MMO, big multiplayer game, but it doesn't really have a story. It just has some quests and objectives here and there, but it's still no overarching theme, no big point of the game. I need an objective, a point of the game. What am I playing here for? So
I completely agree. So if you were in charge of making a video game and somebody asked you, what makes a great video game? Like for me, a great video game has to have multiple things. So I mean, obviously story and gameplay. I mean, those are the two most important things. If you're not going to have anything else, you got to have those two things, right? But also, I feel like characters are just as important, because you can have the best story in the world, but like if nobody cares about the characters, then it's not going to matter. Because to me, that's why The Walking Dead is so successful. It's not the story. It's the characters in the story that make it successful. So you need great characters to have a great video game. And I think more games should incorporate some type of, not necessarily like a level up element, but like something that helps you build towards something. Because there's a lot of games that are out now where you're basically the same person every game. I mean every level.
So you're saying you need to see some character growth?
Yeah, like I need to see
and achievability over time.
Yes, like I need to have accomplishments. Like I need to be doing something, and throughout the course of the game. But I mean that's just for me. But okay, so what about for you? Like what are some things that you think go into making a great video game?
Well, I was just thinking, it's funny how games back in the day, it used to just be more simple, right? But now you need a game to like, games are full on lives of their own, like full on art, like it's just like shows and movies, like it's a full on media form. Like, so it does need a characters, it needs a story, and it needs a script, it needs production, like it needs all of that. Like this is big business now. So if you're not putting all of that into a game, if it doesn't have a cohesive story, characters that grasp the opponent, grasp the audience, and are captivating, has some character growth. You want people to play the game and want to keep playing and evolve through the journey, and want to love this franchise and this game so much that they want future sequels, right?
Right, exactly.
So that's all important. So the games, you have to make sure it has like a heart and soul. You can't just be pumping games out.
That's a great point.
And what do you think about, say, like games that like bastardize their franchise and do too many sequels, like say like Assassin's Creed
or Call of Duty?
Call of Duty, yeah, like they're just monetizing it. Like I feel like they're milking it too much.
Yeah.
So
man,
that's probably.
I was talking to my friend Monolith about this when I was doing a pod with him about movies. A lot of these video game companies are guilty of the same thing a lot of movie companies are. They push out sequels just for the money. And it sucks because, we don't need 30, there's a new Call of Duty game released every year, every single
Yes.
year, and I'm not joking. Like every year, there's been a new Call of Duty, and there's probably been a new Assassin's Creed every year. Like they
Yes.
need to relax. Like there's no need to make 10, 20 of these games, but they're doing it because they know people are gonna buy it. Like it's all money driven, and I hate that. I wish that they would care about the art more, but they don't.
So if you say if you were a prospective game developer, if you could only choose like one type of game, what type would you do? What do you
There's
think is an appeal to the masses? Like a first person shooter, a sports game, what a platformer, single player?
Yeah, so
And
single player definitely. It'll be single player. Probably a platformer. Man, it's tough to say only one thing because to be honest, a great game doesn't just have one element that makes it great, but I feel like Nintendo has been knocking it out of the park recently with some of their games. So I would want to work for them and I would want to develop the kind of games that they're developing. Um, so yeah, that's my answer for that. I mean, Super Mario Odyssey was so fantastic. I would have loved to have done anything on that game. Breath of the Wild was so fantastic. Pokemon Let's Go was fantastic. Oh, Mario Kart, that's the other game I have. Mario Kart on there, it's a really fun game. Um, so yeah, I would love to work for Nintendo and develop
I
those.
kind of asked this just because I'm a little worried about the future of the game industry
Oh wow.
because like how you linked me to a tweet a couple days ago where they
Hmm.
were talking about how an article, someone in the article basically saying that you're kind of irresponsible if you're creating single player games these days. Like it's
Oh
not
yeah.
selling to the masses anymore. Like they're like forget who it was. I think it was Activision or somebody basically said
Hmm.
they're more focusing on multiplayer from Hero 4.
Hmm.
And now games are coming out without campaigns at all, like
Hmm.
Destiny and Fallout, the new one,
Hmm.
which is crazy because Fallout has been a single player game this whole time, and now they completely just went left. Um, so I hate it, man, and I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a crazy thing. I don't know if it's just how we grew up as far as playing video games. I mean, we've sure like we've enjoyed the multiplayer aspect of it, but the things that keep me coming back to video games is the single player. It's the journey. Like it's the journey, like we talked about. Like that's that's what video games are about. Video games are about immersing you in that video game, like putting you inside of it.
Yeah,
Um,
take me out of my life now and let me
yeah.
just you know go into that
Get
life.
lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I hate it. I mean, I hope you're wrong. And I hope whoever tweeted that, dies. But no, I was kidding. But yeah, I
Oh,
mean, they're, that's a terrible sentiment to have. I really hate that. And I hope that single player games continue to get the shine and time and development and production that they do because they're fantastic. Like, look, hold on. Look at God of War. God of War came out PlayStation 4 2018 April. That game was fantastic. It was so amazing, and it was a single player game. There's no multiplayer to that at all. That is the highest selling game PlayStation has ever done. Like
I didn't know that.
that, yes, bro. Like that game sold crazy. Like that is if if that isn't confirmation that people enjoy single player games, I don't know what is because that game was so fantastic. I mean, wow. But yeah,
Yeah.
so let's move on a little bit. All right, so we talked about great games and we talked about all these different consoles. So I want to go through some of the consoles that we talked about and just get your opinion on some of your favorite games that you love to play on each one. Um, so I want to start with the 64. I know we talked earlier about some of the best games that are on here, but if you had to pick one game to play on that Nintendo 64, Saturday morning, got nothing to do, no responsibilities. What game are you putting in that 64?
One game.
One.
It'd probably be Banjo Tooie.
Banjo Tooie, the second one. Okay, okay. So just a quick note for everybody that listens. So the first Banjo Kazooie is the first one. The witch's laugh every time you die scared me so bad as a child. Like it gave me nightmares, and I'm not kidding. Like it was so freaky and scary. But yeah, Banjo Tooie is a sequel to that. And they expanded so well on Banjo and Kazooie. But why do you like Banjo Tooie so much?
It was bigger than Banjo Kazooie, like you said. and there were just so many more powers that they can do between them. More mumbo jumbo spells. It was just more expansive. There's a lot more going on. I really loved the world, and you got to do more flying with Kazooie. Oh, and you could do solo with Kazooie as well. You could split them up.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Cool.
Yeah, she had more powers and stuff. It was cool, man. It had more features and stuff. And I'm a big solo player, platform guy. So I mean, I feel like Banjo-Tooie was like built up off of Mario 64 and off of like Donkey Kong 64 series and stuff. Yeah. So I felt like it was like perfected.
Awesome. Yeah, man, it was a really fun game. I think that I played the first one more. I didn't play the second one as much because you were always hogging it. But the first one was really good. So for the PS2, I think I already know what you're gonna say, but same question. If you had to pick one game to play, which one would it be?
For PS2, it's either gonna be San Andreas or like Jak 3.
Okay. I figure San Andreas is gonna be like the clear-cut winner here. Why Jak 3? I mean, I love the game as well, but I mean, what about that game did you really enjoy?
Yeah, I just remember Jak 2 and 3 putting in a lot of hours and just really loving those games. Yeah, honestly, San Andreas is probably the clear-cut answer, but I just wanted to throw out Jak 3. So I wanted to give it some love.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Okay, so what about for the 360? I guess it would be
360.
Skyrim.
Yeah, no, this one is hard. Yeah, it's got to be either Skyrim. I said Skyrim is my greatest game of all time, so I guess Skyrim. But I could have said Mass Effect 2 or 3, BioShock 1 or 2, Red Dead Redemption. I mean, just so many great games. But yeah, I'll go with Skyrim.
Okay. And then for this, I know I had the Wii on the list, but as far as I kind of want to bundle it. So what game are you playing right now that you're like really enjoying on these next generation consoles?
Right now, so I'm late to God of War. I'm trying to beat that now, so I'm playing that. That's really what I'm playing right now.
And how do you like it so far?
Oh, I love it, man. Like everything you said is great. It took me a while to get used to the combat, but it's great. I mean, I'm maybe halfway through, so I don't really have much else to say. But it's really good. Yeah, don't spoil it. I guess this generation, some other games that are really great. You talked about Breath of the Wild. I want you to play The Witcher 3.
I'm gonna really write that down right now because I meant to download that.
Yeah,
that's on the PS4 now, right?
Yeah. I think if you liked Breath of the Wild, I think you'll like The Witcher 3. It's a lot more deep, of course, and more. It's even more like story, like people actually talk.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it's similar in ways like combat and different weapons and a whole bunch of places you can explore and stuff like that. I really like that game. This generation I also played Far Cry 4 and 5. Played the Batman Arkham Knight, Spider-Man.
Oh man, we need to give some love to the Arkham series because I almost forgot about them. But Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, thank you guys so much for existing and providing the voices for Batman and the Joker respectively. You guys are the voices for Batman and the Joker for me. And starting with Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City to the Arkham Knight, all three of those games are absolutely fantastic. I thought Arkham Asylum kind of broke the mold. It had such amazing graphics. It had a great combat system. It had a really good story. And then Arkham City just kind of expanded on all of that. And then Arkham Knight even expanded on that. I mean, my goodness. All three of those games just got progressively better. With being able to keep the voices of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as Batman and Joker. Just great stuff, great characters. Batman's my favorite superhero of all time. And I just wanted to make sure I gave them some love because the Arkham series is just great collection of games.
Yeah, with great original stories too.
Yes. And they also threw in a lot of comic book adaptations in Arkham City. So yes, great stuff.
Yeah, and now like Spider-Man series is very similar, like its own original story, and Similar combat, similar type of structure, really. But yeah, so it's great. I hope that they continue to build off superhero movies like that. I mean, superhero games like that.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And as far as video games go, man, do you think that you'll be playing video games for like the rest of your life? Like, are you just in at this point?
I think so. I mean, as I've gotten older, I haven't had the time to play as much. I
Right.
don't know. I feel like this generation hasn't been great, to be honest. Like there just
Hmm.
haven't been as many games coming out that I've been wanting to play, and it
Yeah.
sounds like they're moving on to the next generation in the next year or two already. So yeah, it's kind of just a little short and quick. But yeah, I still see myself playing in the future, especially my solo, as long as they still have single player games.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm curious to see what the future of gaming is going to be, man. I think like VR is going to be more prevalent.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so imagine that, like you're sitting there VR with like detectors and motion control playing video games. I think
Right.
that's in the next, maybe not the next generation, but it's coming here soon. What
Okay.
about you? Do you think you'll always be playing forever?
Oh, absolutely. I'm in. Like, I'm too invested in so many franchises to not play. And like, I also, a franchise that I don't think that we've given enough love to on this pod is the Pokemon franchise. Man, like Pokemon is probably the first franchise that I remember loving, like being like a stand for. From the animated series to the video games that they had on the Game Boy Color, Advance, SP, like like you said earlier, we had every single Pokemon game, and that's not an exaggeration. So we had red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, crystal, emerald, ruby, all of them. Like we got all of them, and we played them all. We caught them all. Like Pokemon was such a great series. So as long as they keep making Pokemon games, I mean, they're gonna have me playing. Uh,
I'm so much of
so
a stan that I used to back in the days I used to collect Pokemon cards
what, man?
and
Everybody used to collect
trade them.
Pokemon cards, fool.
Well, you didn't bring it up. You didn't bring it up. I had my
Look.
card stolen so many times. I don't know how many times I had my holographic Charizard somebody stole. Haters.
Hey, holographic Charizard. What? Dang. Yeah, Pokemon. I remember you used to have this little blue book. It was like a
The
little
binder.
binder. It was like a little binder. You used to have so many Pokemon cards. Like they each had their own little slot. Oh
Mm-hmm.
man. Yeah.
Hopefully that's still in mom's garage, but probably not. We'll see.
Probably not. Yeah. Um.
And I was also so much of a stan that I remember I used to argue. Like that was also during the time when DBZ was getting popular.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be like, no, Pokemon's better. Like Dragon Ball Z's whack. Like man, I used to argue that like till I turned blue. Until
Uh,
eventually I started watching Dragon Ball Z during the Cell Saga. Saw Gohan turn Super Saiyan 2 and that had me sold. And
yeah.
then I
Like
started
what?
rewatching all of it.
Wow, it's funny you say that. My earliest memories, and I know we're kind of going on topic here, but my earliest memories of Dragon Ball Z are also in the Cell Saga. But it wasn't Gohan turned Super Saiyan 2. It was when they were coming out of the hyperbolic time chamber, and Trunks had the super long hair, and Vegeta, they were both had the Saiyan armor on, and I was like, what
Hmm.
is this? This looks amazing. And then they went to fight Cell. He was imperfect Cell. That's like my earliest memories of Dragon Ball Z. It's so crazy that our memories are like in that same time span. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, it definitely was a Cell Saga for sure.
Wow. And then, yeah, I mean, Dragon Ball Z is also taking over my life, but that's a whole nother podcast. So, if I had to put you on the spot, man, and ask you your top 10, uh, could you give me a few off your top 10? I know you said that it was hard to get 10,
Whew.
but give me as many as you can, and I'll give you my top 10.
All right, I'll try to just list off. I mean, I guess without particular order. Can I do that?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, with no particular order. Okay, so Skyrim, I got Mass Effect 2, I got Bioshock,
Which one?
2.
Okay.
I got Red Dead Redemption, I got Uncharted 2, The Last of Us, The Witcher 3, and then I got to save some for retros. So,
Mhm.
so I got Banjo Tooie, Breath of the Wild. Let me put that on there. I'm at like 8 now, ain't
I'm not counting. I'm just enjoying the list.
Oh man, I guess I have to put Perfect Dark on there because I like that more than GoldenEye.
Nice.
Um, Man, and then San Andreas. That's I
Mm-hmm.
think I've hit 10, but I mean I could keep going. There's just so many classics out there. But do you have
Yeah.
a rigid 10? You
Yes.
scratch up the
Yes.
list?
Yes. So okay. So just to give everybody context, this took me 2 days. I, I crossed off so many. I erased so many. But this is this is the 10 I'm going with. This is in order as far as their replay value, how much fun I had on them, and what I thought of the video games as a whole. So my number one, we talked about it earlier, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That's my clear cut number one. There's nothing above it. That's the best game I've ever played ever. Number two, I have Halo 3. Number three, I have San Andreas. Number four, I have the Pokemon franchise. I couldn't just pick one, but I have the entire franchise as a whole. Number five, Bioshock, the first one. Number six, I have Super Mario Odyssey from Nintendo Switch. Number seven, I have God of War, PS4. Number eight, I have the very first Gears of War on Xbox 360. Number nine, I have Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo 64. And number 10, Grand Theft Auto 5. And this list was so hard. I left off so many games, but I do have some honorable mentions. Pokemon Stadium, NBA Street Volume 2, Mario Kart, Mario Party 2, Jack and Dexter, the entire franchise, and The Last of Us. But
you didn't even play that.
No, I went back and played it on a PS4.
Oh, did you? Did you like it?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was really, really great.
Oh,
but
I thought you would have liked the zombies and stuff.
Yeah, but by the time I played, it was out for 10 years. So I mean, I didn't, I had already known what was going to happen, so I couldn't enjoy it as much as I would have liked to. But it was still a good game. But yeah, I mean, that's my top 10, and it was so hard. It was so hard, but those 10 games are moments in my life. They're so fun, and those are games that I can go back and replay to this day.
And shout out to the great games that aren't on our list that we never really played before, like the Metal Gear Solids. I regret to say I've never got into those. I tried to get into Metal Gear Solid 4, and I just didn't know what I was doing, what was going on. So
the Final Fantasies of the world.
Yeah, Final Fantasy. Yeah, I mean, I'm completely out on Final Fantasy. I'm sorry. I've tried. I think I tried playing 7, one of those, and I don't know. It's blah. I'm not really big on those Japanese RPGs. I did like the Shining Force series. I like Fire Emblem. I liked. Oh man, there was one very popular on Super Nintendo. I can't remember the name of it, but so yeah, I'm not big on those. Resident Evils. I haven't really got into those like that. Siphon Filters. Really, a lot of those that were the PlayStation era.
Yeah. That we just kind of didn't. Yeah, for some reason or another, we just didn't get into them. We didn't play them. But yeah, I mean, they're all great games in its own right. And even for the systems that we did mention, I know that we're missing some. It's hard fitting all this in for this pod. But man, this was fantastic. So I do have a small little trivia session for you. So I have in front of me, I have a list of the top 10 best-selling consoles of all time. You don't have to give them to me in order unless you think you can, but I want to see if you can name the 10 best-selling consoles of all time.
10 best-selling of all time. So I would guess the Wii is number one.
It's not number one, but it is in the top 10.
Okay. 360.
Yes.
PlayStation 4. PlayStation
yes.
2.
Yes.
PlayStation.
Yes.
Super Nintendo?
No,
probably not. Yeah, probably not in pure console value. So it's probably most of the current ones then. So did PlayStation 4 make the list?
It did. PlayStation 4 has sold 94 million copies.
Wow,
that's ridiculous.
Where does that rank?
That ranks at number 6.
Oh, dang.
I know.
So I guess the Xbox One's probably got to be up there then?
Nope. Xbox One's not in the top 10, but it has sold a lot of copies. It sold about 40 million copies as of today.
Wow. Switch?
No, the Nintendo Switch has sold 33 million copies as of today, and it's not in the top 10.
So how many of the top 10 have I gotten so far?
So you've gotten PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4. You've gotten the Nintendo Wii. you've got an Xbox 360. So you've got 6. There's 4 left.
Okay. Is the 64 on there?
No. The 64 has 33 million copies, and it's just below the Xbox One. So think handhelds. I mean, the handhelds consoles, were cheap.
But okay.
Yeah, they are. Technically.
Yeah, okay. Well, handhelds and all of them. All the Nintendo ones. DS, 3DS, Game Boy.
Yes.
Because I think they counted the Game Boy and Game Boy Color all as the same.
They did.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the Game Boy Advance. Sorry, the PSP. The PSP. You know, the PSP sold 82 million copies. That's crazy. 82 million. So the actual order, PlayStation 2 sold over 155 million copies. It's the best-selling console of all time.
The Wii beat that.
No, the Wii has only sold 101 million copies. It's number 5 on the list. The Nintendo DS is number 2 with 154 million copies, which doesn't really surprise me because, man, that thing, like I said, I felt like for 2 Christmases straight, like everybody wanted a DS.
And it was out for a while. Felt like.
Yeah. Number 3 is the Game Boy. The original Game Boy and Game Boy Color, like you said, those sales are combined for 118 million. The first PlayStation is still the best-selling PlayStation console with 102 million. Nintendo Wii's number 5, like I said. Then the PS4 coming in strong. It's at 94 million right now. Xbox 360, 84 million. PlayStation 3, 83 million. And PSP, 82 million. Game Boy Advance is at 81 million.
So wait, you said PlayStation 2 is number 1, but you said PlayStation is the best-selling PlayStation?
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's a mistake, guys. So PlayStation 2 is the best-selling console of all time. But best-selling PlayStation console of all time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah, thanks for catching that. Okay, guys, I really appreciate everybody listening. I know we've been doing this for a while, and this has been so much fun, man. Javar, thank you for coming on and helping me out with this. We didn't cover everything, which is scary, but we got to a lot of it.
What's the runtime? It was like 2.5 hours.
Yes.
Shout out to any of y'all listeners who listen to this whole thing in one sitting.
Well, I'm probably gonna break it up. Like, there's no way that I can release it like this, so I'm gonna have to break it up because it'd be ridiculous just to put this out. This. Let me see. I mean, it's hard to tell.
Part 1, part 2.
Yeah, it's hard to tell our exact runtime because we had the technical difficulties and I had to stop and record again. But yeah, it's probably north of 2 hours.
Well, we knew it was going to be about 2 hours. That's why we had to set time aside for the weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
We kept delaying. Well, glad we were able to knock it out, man. It was good.
This was great. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to the Current Era podcast. Thank you so much to Javar for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
Later.